I'm gonna tickle your bum.
I took like a sample of ashwagandha like 5 years ago. Ever since then, I haven't been able to feel my day. Please let me know if that's normal, but beyond that, on the topics of today's video, we're gonna be talking about detachment. I will say I do have notes for this one, so it's gonna be a little bit like less freelance, freestyling, but we're gonna go with it anyway. So I truly believe detachment, when implemented correctly, is like a superpower. Like genuinely, it could be a superpower. But like when you abuse it and it becomes like an abusive coping mechanism. And I'm gonna break down both those ideas. But first, I'm gonna get into this one right here. Being detached from like your earthly desires, you can like actually lead your life with purpose, and like the distractions become so clear. So rather than unconsciously falling into those same distractions that are like misguiding you, you can make the conscious choice on whether or not to like fully lead your life with purpose, And to kind of break that down a little bit more is like a lot of times we fall into these unconscious, modes of living throughout our lives from the day to day, and we're not able to fully fulfill or go down the path that we've set for ourselves to live and how we want to live our lives because of the other distractions that fill our lives. And I feel like being able to detach from those desires, whether it's just like substance abuse, or even like the games, or even just like relationship things, or even like just like regular earthly desires. You can think maybe even like the seven sins that people always bring up. But if you're able to detach from those things and realize what they do to you and how they misguide you, I feel like you can truly belong, like fully gain consciousness of your choices that you make on a day-to-day basis. Because at the end of the day, we're all humans. Like we all want to like chill out, we all want to like do things, we all would, it's we're not perfect. It's okay to have a little chocolate bar if you're on the cut. If you only do it maybe consciously, you're like, you know what, today I'm gonna have it, but I'm gonna keep moving forward with my goal from now on, kind of deal. And I think even on a deeper level, um not even just on an external, like how the world affects you, I think even on an internal level, if you allow yourself to understand your emotions, and also understand like the why, like why am I feeling this, like the why of your emotions, I think you can truly gain a greater grasp on like, or even like a greater understanding on your own character, and gain an almost like an outside perspective on your own mind, which is something that is extremely difficult, and it requires a lot of introspection. If anything, it requires a lot of like thought and being able to dive deep within your own mind. But if you're able to get to the point where you can kind of gain an idea of like where do your thoughts come from, the idea of thinking of your own thinking, and gain like that third person perspective of your own mind, I think even like using that skill of detachment, you can learn a lot about yourself, a lot about your character, a lot about your trauma, a lot about like where or how, like why you made the choices. Here, yeah, how the choices that you made affected you, why you made those choices, and then how you can even learn from those and move forward with purpose throughout them. You know what I'm saying? And I think on to this next point, I do want to say, I want to, you would want to proceed with caution when it comes to this, but you can even gain a deeper understanding on others on such a deeper level. You just gotta be careful. You're not gonna be using this in a sense of pleasing others or even wanting to manipulate others, but rather you want to build or even like better navigate connections with others that are around you. And I think all those three things done on an internal level, through detachment are so helpful because they just allow you to gain a deeper sense of who you are and and those around you, you know. And the best way I can sum it up is like detachment can give you that overhead view above the fog of reactivity, but that distance can turn to indifference. So you gotta always remember the goal was to always to take a breath and think, but not escape. You know, you have to allow yourself to take that breath, like whether it's a situation going on that's you're heavily emotionally invested in, or you're just overthinking about a certain thing or person. You gotta allow yourself to detach for just even just a slight moment, to give yourself that breath so you can recalculate, rethink, and readjust how you're going to behave or approach any situation in your own life. But the main focus is that if you detach too much, whether it's emotionally or from those around you in a social context, that's not good either, because at that point it's a coping mechanism. You're just escaping from the situation itself, which is not good at all. Like a good way to put it is like a lot of the time being comfortable within your own mind feels safer. When you detach too much and you try to escape and cope, it feels safer than being open and present with the world. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, this soon becomes cope, and you almost become a prisoner to your own mind, where you detach from, whether like let's say you're just sitting eating with a bunch of friends, or you're eating at the dinner table or whatever, and you're just kind of detached from the moment itself. You cannot be present within that moment because you're in your own mind thinking about whatever the hell is going through your mind. You know, you're not allowing yourself to be present with the reality that's around you. I think that's the biggest thing, is that I always, you know, I think it was in a previous video, like I always talk about being present within the moment, you know, and detachment can help with that immensely, you know, thinking of like allowing yourself to just feel those emotions and like take a step back and realize what's really going on. But if you do it too much, or you go too deep and you become stuck in this cycle of thinking, you're just not going to allow yourself to fully be present with, even within your own life. That's how deep it can get, you know. And what I'm saying is not like stoicism, you know, or whatever you want to say it, where you know, hide away your emotions. Because if anything, I might do a separate video on stoicism itself, but I find it to be more of a coping mechanism to the world's afflictions upon you. But you know, that could be a whole nother vid itself. But what I'm saying is, like, you don't want to hide away your emotions or thoughts for the sake of like being superior or feeling superior. You know what I'm saying? If anything, you want to express your emotions and thoughts through the filter of cognizance. Sorry, I can't really speak very well. Cognizance, then control, and experience the world fully and be presently through the lens of comprehension. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, you want to I'm not saying hide away, like I was saying earlier. You don't want to hide away your emotions. You don't want to hide away your own thoughts for the sake of holding your tongue and being the better person, but rather you want to express those thoughts. You want to express your emotions through the sense of you're aware of why you're feeling them, and that you're aware of the limits of your own self-imposed limits, you know, and that why those limits exist, or even like the appropriate times to be expressing certain thoughts or emotions. And I think if you're able to do that, you can fully lead to that, like the previous idea I was saying earlier. Like, you can fully lead your life with purpose if you allow yourself to fully I can't even speak right now. Compartmentalize. Yeah, there you go. I'm really bad with that. Compartmentalize your own thoughts and allow yourself to fully feel them. I think that's where the most growth can be felt, or even gained in that sense, you know. And then like you want to experience that world fully, you know, through the lens of comprehension. Like, you can it's about understanding the world, not hiding away from it. That's the biggest thing for me, you know what I'm saying? And I think in general, detachment itself on like a general basis is a great tool at becoming a greater version of yourself that, you know, that you can envision. you know, because there's always this idea of like become better day by day, you know, 1% better every day. But there's no, that doesn't really mean anything to a lot of people, even to me. Like that saying like, oh, you have to be better than you were yesterday. Well, what does that really mean? And I think what they're really trying to say, and I think what people should really follow, is that like we all have this greater vision of ourselves, whether it's goals or how we want to be in the future or how we view ourselves that we should be in the future. And I think that's what they're trying to say, and I think that's what people should follow, is like you have to become the greater version of yourself that you see, that you envision, you know, create that vision, make it into reality, you know. And the mere, and I think anything else, like just the mere idea of like understanding yourself, you allows you to understand others on a deeper level, you know. And I think I'll also go into this like with another video, but like the idea of like pattern recognition and like understanding behaviors and psychology behind all that, I'll do another video on that for sure. But what I really just want to kind of generalize is focus on the idea of detachment, allowing yourself to just give you that moment of breath, to give you a view over a situation, or even your own emotions, or your own behaviors, or your own trauma, or anything like that. Just remember, I think the biggest takeaway when it comes to all this is that back to the idea of like superiority, you know, just remember that like all of this when it comes to detachment is just gonna be insight. You're gonna give yourself insight into your own world and the world around you. But it's not a pedestal, you know. Just because you're above the clouds, like I was speaking earlier on that other metaphor, you're seeing the same track. Like insight, it isn't a pedestal, it's just a clear view. That's all it really is, you know. And you shouldn't fall down to the thinking of that you're better because you can see everything, because at the end of the day, once you drop back down into reality, you're in it too, you know. We're all in this, we're all humans, we all go through this, you know. Unless you're a multi-billionaire, then that's a different story. I can't really speak on that, but beyond that, thank you for listening. Peace.